Alright, class, welcome to the online experience for the first time with Mr. Vigil. So today I've heard a few people have had issues getting onto Zoom, and then others are just not in a place where they have very good internet. So I'm going to be recording my video today because most of what I was going to do is just have you observe and follow along on Zoom. So you can do the same thing by watching this video. So there's going to be a tutorial on how to finish, or actually just get started with this 1B project in Word. So the first thing you'll want to do is go ahead and go to Google Classroom, and you'll need to have this file, programs. It's actually a Word document. So you'll need to click on this, which will open in a preview window, which doesn't allow you to download it yet. So you'll need to go to the upper right hand corner, click the three dots there, and then open in new window. On this screen you'll have the option to download with this little button here. So once this is downloaded, it will show up down here in the bottom, or it will also be in your downloads folder if it doesn't appear here. So you can check there. And then we're just going to click it to open it. Now, sometimes when we open a file that has been downloaded from the internet, as a safety precaution, it will load in this kind of protected view mode. So in this mode, you can only view the text, you cannot modify it at all. So we want to enable editing up here. And this will look more normal once it opens up. So here's a lot of text. You can be thankful you didn't have to type this all in. It's just here for us to modify. And the first thing we want to do before we get started editing this is we're going to save this file. So just in case you lose power or have to stop to take a break or what have you, it will be saved. So we're going to periodically press save, but this time we're going to press File and Save As, because this file has already been saved as this particular name, the 1B programs document. So we need to change the name, which means we want to save as, which allows us to change the name of the document and the location. So right now, since we opened this from our downloads folder, it might default to saving to the downloads folder. We don't want that. We want to save it to our Word Chapter 1 folder. So we're going to navigate to the Word Chapter 1 folder. That's found in your Documents folder. And I've been teaching this for a while, so I have several different Word Chapter 1 folders. So I'm just going to search for mine. And I have one specifically for this year. Now we're at the place where we know where we want to save it. We're in that location. We're in the Documents folder and in our Word Chapter 1 folder. And you should see a couple things in here that you've already done. So we're going to change the beginning of this name. Mine has a 1 after it. Yours probably doesn't, so I'll just delete that. So we're going to delete anything behind or to the left of the 1B. So I'm just going to delete that so I don't have to type this in again, because this is actually part of the title. So we're going to save this as your last name underscore first name. So last name underscore first name underscore. And then 1B programs we're going to leave the same. So if you deleted that, just type in 1B programs and you should be good to go. I'm going to press save. Now it's saved and I can see the updated name up here. This is the correct name. So periodically as we're going through this, you may need to pause your video and then go to your document and do the step that I just did. So I'm going to try to pause as I'm going through this, and my goal is to keep this video to around 20 to 25 minutes because it probably takes you twice as long, because you have to kind of pause, go back to your document, start the video again, pause, go back to your document, and do the next step. So I'm hoping that this will not be any longer than your regular class time. Just follow along and you should be good to go. Alright, so we have it saved. The first thing we're going to do is talk a little bit about margins. Now, margin is the blank space where your text starts and stops. So if there wasn't a margin, your text would start right at the edge of the page. We're used to seeing margins on almost every document that we look at. There's just blank space, kind of the frame for the text. So the default, we're going to figure out what the default is for that, and that's found in the Design tab. Actually, sorry, no, that's not it. It's in Layout tab. The first button is the Margins button. Here you have some preset popular settings. So there's 1 inch around. That was the last custom setting that I made. There's normal, narrow, and so on and so forth. Well, we're going to actually set some custom margins. We're going to specify exactly what we want our margins to be. So I'm going to click on Custom Margins. And you can see on this document, the left margin and the right margin are not set to 1 inch. The top and bottom are. So we're going to go ahead and change those values. So I'm going to go ahead and backspace to get rid of anything after the 1 there. And then I can use the up arrow to increase the right until it gets to 1 inch. Or you could simply type in 1. So the arrows work going by 1/10 of an inch each time you press up or down. Or you could just also type in the value 1. Then we're going to press OK. So now we have nice, even 1 inch margins on top, bottom, left, and right. Alright, now before we move on, we're going to add our name to the bottom of the document. So when you turn it in, I can tell whose is whose. And we will do this for every project that we do. So we've done it a few times so far. You'll get used to doing this. So to get into the footer, there's a couple ways. You can either double click in the blank space at the bottom of the page to get into the footer, or I'm just going to double click outside to repeat this step. The other way is to insert. So we want to insert header or footer. So I'm going to click on footer, and I'm going to just select on edit footer. It's the same exact result. I'm in the footer. I'm ready to edit the footer and put some content in it. So whichever method works easiest for you, you can do it either way. So what we're looking for here is the document info. We want specifically the file name. So we're going to include the file name in the footer. So the footer is the blank space in the margin that normally you wouldn't see any content, but it's a way to add like page numbers and other things that appear at the top or the bottom of a page. So here you can also access the header. And then to get out of either the header or the footer, you can click on this big red X, or you can simply double click anywhere outside of the header or footer to get back into your document. Alright, now we're going to scroll to page 2. Right now I can see both pages. So mine is a little bit zoomed out maybe from yours. So I'm going to zoom in So now I have a page 1 and a page 2. As you scroll down, you can see once you get to page 2, it changes to page 2. Now towards the middle of the page 2, you can see all of these words end exactly at the margin. Let's compare that with page 1. Actually, they're all justified. So what justified means is that the words will be spaced out to where the last word ends exactly where the margin is. We'll see the difference when we change that in just a second. So justified means it's aligned to the left and the right, so the text stretches all the way from the left margin and ends exactly at the right margin. Now we're going to select all of the text in this document. Now the hard way would be to scroll to the top or the bottom, click and start a selection, and then drag all the way until you have it all selected. That is one way to select all of the text. The easier way is a shortcut, which is Control. So you're holding the Control button down, which is a key on your keyboard in the lower left-hand corner. It's CTRL, which stands for Control. So you're going to hold that button down and then press the A key. So A, you can remember that all, A stands for all, so Control All is selecting all of the text. So all of our text is selected. So we're going to change this from justified. You can see that that is enabled here. That is the spacing that is currently set on. And we want to change that to left justified. So left aligned to the left column here, or the left margin. So now you can see that some of the words end a little bit before that right margin. So it's kind of jaggedy edged here. Now we're going to go scroll back to the top of the document. Going to select the first line of text. So to do that, we're going to actually, there's several ways to select text. We know this one where you click and then you drag over to select the text. There's another way to select text. That is, if you scroll into the left margin area, you get a white pointer. So your mouse turns into a pointer. If you click where that line is, it will select the entire line of text. So it's a quick way to select a line of text. You have to scroll your mouse over into the left margin before you get that. So if I were to click here or here, selecting one line of text. Now I can also select multiple lines of text if I click and hold my click button down and then drag down. So we're going to select the first line of text. We're going to change the font size, which is found in the Home tab in the Font group. We're going to change the font size to 40, which is not a default number here, so we have to type that one in. 40, enter. Now we're going to select the second paragraph, which reminds me we should have our paragraph markers on. So we're going to select the second paragraph, Internship Guide. We're going to change the font size to 26. Now we're going to select we're going to point to the left of the first paragraph. Just point there. I actually pointed and clicked, so I'll deselect that. So we're going to just point here. We're going to click one time and drag down to select the first two paragraphs, and then we're going to center. That's in the paragraph group. We're going to center both of those paragraphs of text, which they're just one line paragraphs. Periodically we're going to save, again, just in case you have to take a break or you lose power. We won't lose any of this work. So since I've already saved it as this name, I don't have to go back to the File tab to save. I can just click on this icon to save my document. Alright, now near the top of the page, we're going to select this first subheading, the internship program. And then we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to scroll down the page and find the next subheading. So those are in bold. Now I have another one here that's called requirements. So what we want to do is select both of these subheadings. To do that, I can't just simply click. If I click this one, the first one I selected will be deselected. So how do I select both of them? Well, you have to use a special key, which is the Control key. So I'm going to select the first one again, and this time before I click, I'm going to hold the Control key down and click the second line for requirements there. And then there's more subheadings that I want to select, so I'm going to scroll down here. And then I have Introduction to Upcoming Internships. So I'm going to hold the Control key down again and click one time to select that subheading. So you should be able to scroll up the document and see there's 1, 2, 3 subheadings selected. Now we're going to press Center to align these in the center of the page. There we go. We're going to scroll to the top of the document again, and we're going to select all of the text. So again, that is the shortcut Control A. And in the Home tab, in the paragraph group, there's a button for spacing, line spacing. This is how far the lines are spaced apart. If you click on the arrow, you can see that right now it is set to 2-point spacing, otherwise known as double spacing. Now we're going to select the 1.5 spacing option to change that. And now we're going to add what's called a first line indent to our paragraphs. So right now the paragraph begins right at the left margin. Sometimes you'll see paragraphs that are indented. So there's a little bit of space before the first word starts. In order to see what's happening, I'm going to enable my rulers, so you should do this as well. So that is found on the View tab, and we're going to click to enable the ruler. You should see a ruler now at the top of your document and on the side. So these two little kind of arrow buttons are the indent indicators, and you can also use these to modify the indentation. The top one is the first line indent, and then the bottom is the left indent, and then the hanging indent. So most of the time we will use a specific box, a dialog box, to set those, and that's what we're going to do now. Instead of using, you can also use the ruler, which will be the second option that we'll learn. So first we're going to find a very small button that's hard to find. It's on the Home tab, and in the paragraph group, in the lower right hand corner, there's a little tiny button. I don't know why they made it that small and hard to find, but if you click on that, you'll get a box that opens up with more detailed paragraph settings. Now you can see that your alignment settings are here. It's just a different way to set them. We have buttons up here that we could use as well. So this is just a different way to get into the settings for the paragraphs. So what we want to do is apply what's called a special indent. So under special, we're going to apply first line indent. You can see a preview, whereas before, if there was none, everything would be aligned to the left. If you choose first line, it shifts that first word in. So 0.5 inch is a common, so a half an inch indentation is the common size for an indent. So we're going to leave that setting there and press OK, and our first line should be indented for our paragraph here. Alright, so again, just to review that, it's the paragraph settings, and then special, change it from none to first line, and then keep the 0.5 inch setting there and press OK. Alright, now in the next paragraph, which we're going to scroll down a little ways. Actually, that applied it to every paragraph. It should have. So the other way to do this is I'm just going to click into this paragraph and change the first line indent and just observe what happens if I drag this over. So if your cursor is blinking in a specific paragraph, it will only change that paragraph settings. So however you want to make sure that all of the paragraphs are indented by 0.5 inches, so on the ruler between 0 and 1, you can drag this little guy over once your cursor is blinking in a paragraph. You just drag it over to change that first line indent. So just scroll through your document to make sure that all of the first words in the paragraph are indented by half an inch. Alright, now we're going to select all the text in our document again. So again, that's Control A. And we're going to click on the Layout tab. And we're going to talk about spacing for a little bit. So normally we're used to seeing space before or after important things so that they stand out a little bit more. So after a paragraph, you may see more space than you would between line spaces to kind of separate paragraphs. So that could be either a before or after spacing. So what we're going to do is set the after. This is a space after a paragraph. We're going to change it to 6 point. So you're going to click on the up button one time. So that increases the space after a paragraph. Alright, near the top of page 1, we're going to select the internship program, this line of text here. Then we're going to scroll down and select the other two subheadings. You can use whatever method you like to. I'm going to use the control select. You can also, holding control down, you can select the text like you're used to doing. So holding control allows you to select multiple items at the same time that are not connected to each other in the document. So make sure all three of those are selected. And we're going to change the spacing before. So we're going to add a little bit more space between these subheadings and the line of text above it. So we're going to click twice to add a 12-point spacing before those paragraphs. Alright, now we're in the upper portion of page 1. Locate where it starts. As an intern, you might take part in the following types of productions, colon, and then it begins a list of things. We're going to select this list of items, starting with short feature films. I'm going to click and drag down through recordings of live concerts, sporting events, or theatrical productions. Now we're going to turn this into a bulleted list. So on the Home tab, there's a button for that. It's found in the paragraph group. It's in the upper left-hand corner of that group. We're just going to click on this once to apply these round bullets. So what happens when you apply that, it indents the text and it adds bullet markers. Now you can also see on our ruler there's a couple of indent placements on our ruler. So the first line indent shows where the little bullet marks are, and then the hanging indent is where our text starts. Now we're going to select the next list. So we have another description here, and then another list starts with production assistant all the way through assistant set designer. We're going to click the bullets again to apply bullets to this. Then we're going to scroll down to the next page. We have another list of items here. Here is a list of September meetings. We're going to select where it starts, technical, and then select all of that through the music. Then we're also going to apply bullets. Now there's a little quick menu here that opens up, and bullets is one of the options. So you could just use that. It's a little bit more convenient. Now we're going to press save again, just in case. Just get in the habit of occasionally pressing that save button. Alright, now we're going to find the subheading requirements. So here we have requirements. It's on page 1 towards the bottom. So in the paragraph that follows, which starts the exact requirements vary, point to the end of the paragraph after the colon. We're going to click there to place our cursor. It should be blinking there, and we're going to press enter one time to start a new paragraph. Notice that this line is indented. That's because in our document we have set a special indent rule for 0.5 inches for new paragraphs. So this is a new paragraph, so it's been indented for us. We do not want the first line indent, so we're going to go up to the ruler and move that marker to the left back to 0. Now we're going to, making sure that you press period after the 1, we're going to press 1 period then space. Notice what happens. Word has formatted this to start a list starting with number 1, and it indents it similar to a bulleted list. And because this Word automatically did this, we have the option to undo that. So there's an auto correct option here with a drop arrow. So I'm just going to click that. And if you did not intend to have this start a list or be indented like this, you could undo that automatic numbering. But we don't want to do that. We actually want to keep it because we're going to start a numbered list. So here we're going to start typing. And there's a few things we're going to put in here. Let's see, what's the first thing? We're going to type in be enrolled in an accredited film program. Alright, so typing and watching a video is a little bit difficult. So what we're going to do is I'm going to press enter to start my number 2 in my list of things, and I'm just going to type a bunch of gibberish. Then I'm going to press enter. Now I have number 3. I'm going to again type some gibberish. And then after that, we're not going to press enter to start number 4. So you have 1, 2, and 3 in this list. And I don't care what you typed in those. Just because this is a little bit difficult, just type a little bit of gibberish in there. Alright, now we're going to scroll down to the last bulleted list in our document, starting with technical. We're going to select these bulleted items. So I'm going to scroll to the left in the margin here, click, then drag down to select all of those bulleted items. We're going to change the look of these bullets. So instead of clicking on the bullet button, I'm going to click to the right of that where there's a drop arrow and choose checkmark style. Now with this bulleted list still selected, I'm going to use what's called the format painter. So what this does is when I click this, it's going to copy any format that is currently selected. So, and now my cursor, if I scrub over some text here, it has a little paintbrush next to it. I'm going to use this to paint the same bullet style to my other bulleted lists. So I'm going to click and drag down. Whoops, I missed one. It already applied it, so it assumed I wanted that first one there too as well. And then we're going to do it again for this the other one here, the format painter. And then we're going to paint that to these bullets here. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is a little bit complicated, so we're going to actually just stop here. Make sure that you have saved your document, and we will continue this tomorrow. I'll send out another video tomorrow to hopefully complete this project. So I'm just going to scroll slowly through my document. Actually, let me zoom out, and you can compare your document to mine. It should look very similar, if not exactly the same. Alright, have a good afternoon. Enjoy your day. Hopefully we'll be seeing each other soon, hopefully next week. Have a good one. Bye.